A year ago, most students around Uganda were 2 months into the school years. The reality of the COVID-19 pandemic seemed distant and without much warning. Today we speak to Honorable RoseMary Seninde, the Minister of State for Primary Education, to chat about what is in store for learners in Uganda.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank my fellow Ugandans, especially the parents who have had the children all this time. The time when our schools were on lockdown, I believe it has not been an easy time for many of our children and the parents as well, and of course the government at large, because none of us expected COVID. Nobody prepared for it. It is something that befell us and it has challenged us. It has really affected the education sector. Many of the teachers that were during this COVID time, many of them have decided to go and do some other work to earn a living. Some of them have tested the difference between being in class and probably working out. We get stories or information that some teachers don't even think they may come back to teach. Definitely that affects education. Secondly, we have parents who lost their jobs. And most of these parents who lost their jobs, some of them have lost hope, whether they will even be able to bring back their children to school.
The result, teachers have swapped jobs to make ends meet. Existing information indicates some teachers will not be returning to classrooms. Parents lost jobs, and for some students, March 2020 might be the last time they ever saw a blackboard.
Most of our children have been defiled during this period. Others have been impregnated. Some children, to some extent probably, may think going back to school may no longer be necessary because they have been earning.
Without clear answers as to when the country will eradicate the COVID-19 virus, government has phased the reopening of schools. Reducing the number of children in schools seems to be the working solution right now. But even with the primary 6, senior 3 and 5 students joining the candidate classes in school right now, the consequences of disrupting the school calendar cannot be underestimated.
Some schools, when children pay school fees, you find if there are about 100 children in P7, for instance, they will pay the same electricity they would have paid for if the school was in full operation. They will pay for the same water. The workers themselves, the teachers, especially for private schools, at least for government-aided schools, the teachers have been fully paid by government, whether they have been teaching or not.
The pandemic has only brought to light the iniquities within Uganda's learning ecosystem. With so many students stuck at home, educationalists believe parents will have to play a critical role in their children's futures.
But of course, I always remind the parents that the responsibility of teaching our children and to provide quality education is not a sole responsibility of government. Parents play a role. That is why the Education Act of 2008 spells out clearly the responsibilities and the roles of parents and of course the roles of other stakeholders. So of course, as a ministry, we are doing our part. We have tried to give retraining, retooling to the teachers to ensure that they are doing a good job. And of course, we know our teachers are trying their level best. Through hardship, they are doing their level best to ensure that our children get quality education. Many schools probably wanted to teach online.
Yes.
But of course, as a ministry, we looked at that and we said we cannot encourage schools to go this way because many children will be left behind. First of all, we appreciate not all children can afford the gadgets. Not all areas have electricity. At least it is not 100% coverage. So if you decide to go online, then you leave out many children, and yet according to our mission, we want every child to access education. So that is the reason why government came up with a strategy of at least helping our children to learn through the materials that we are sending to the villages, through our COVID task forces at the district level, and also to teach our children through TV and through radio. I strongly also appreciate the fact that not all homes have radios, not all homes have TVs. So that is the reason why we were giving out these materials to give an opportunity to those children who cannot access a radio or a TV, at least to have these materials. Yes, we know not all children could have received these materials, but of course we know we are trying our best to ensure that we send out more materials.
Government is still watching the space, and at an appropriate time, children in early learning centers could be allowed to return to school. As some students fall behind, players in the sector recognize innovation is long overdue.
The whole world is now mostly using information technology. I think that is the way to go.
Yes.
As we talk now, many of our institutions, we are teaching ICT amongst the teacher training institutions. So which means we shall have the teachers available in our institutions to teach the children, so that our children are computer literate. And once that is there, then teaching will also become easy because everybody will be on board.
But for Uganda to embrace information technology, the infrastructure, equipment, and services must be available, accessible, and affordable. Most Ugandans still lack connectivity to internet, and for those that do, it is a costly investment to sustain. As appeals to Ugandans to continue adhering to standard operating procedures continue to rock airwaves, the country can only wait for the government to implement technology-driven solutions that will ensure there is a future for education within and beyond the COVID-19 pandemic.